third and final community conversation on the Franklin County Sheriff's new body cameras and the policies governing their use. My name is Brittany Razik. I'm the clerk to the Board of Commissioners. As we get started, I'd like to take you through some rules of decorum and expectations of this meeting. Anyone may speak, but there are some rules that we will ask you to follow. First, we've got a short agenda, then we'll open it up for discussion and questions. If you would like to speak, please fill out a speaker slip, which you can find on a table in the back of the room, and then give it to the person in the back of the room that's waving their hand right now. Each person is permitted to speak once and will have 3 minutes to speak. Please be considerate of other speakers and limit your comments to that so that everyone can get a chance to speak. I will time each speaker and give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when your time is up. Please limit your questions and comments to the topic of body-worn cameras, as this meeting is not intended to be a forum to discuss other topics. The prosecutor has advised that the open meetings laws require this meeting to be limited to the matters listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be respected during their allotted 3 minutes. However, should topics outside of the agenda arise, the speaker may be asked to redirect their comments. While we understand and are sympathetic about your desire to discuss other topics, this forum is not a proper place for comments and questions regarding pending criminal or civil cases. This meeting is to let the public learn about the new tool for the body-worn cameras, for the county, which are body-worn cameras. We look forward to discussing body cameras with you tonight and how they can provide the public with added layers of protection, oversight, and transparency. We'll also share more about the Sheriff's body-worn camera policies and procedures, which provided for independent legal review of recordings and a first-of-its-kind 5-minute look-back period. Thank you in advance for your cooperation, and thank you for your interest in this important topic. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Boyce for opening comments.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And let me begin by thanking all of our guests that are here today. I know it takes a lot to take time out of your busy schedules and your lives to talk about issues that are important to the broader public. Nonetheless, you're here, and we hope to make this a very productive and fruitful conversation. Let me start by thanking Sheriff Baldwin and his team. Throughout my experience as a county commissioner, I just can't think of a better process where thoughtfulness, diligence, and the appropriateness of a conversation has occurred. I can assure the public that it has not been an easy conversation. On both sides of the discussion, our goal was to set the tone to, 1, protect our law enforcement officers, 2, generate appropriate records, and 3, be transparent about law enforcement's interaction with the public. All of these are elements that we believe very thoroughly that we've accomplished. No process, no equipment, and no system is perfect, but I can assure you that we will make every attempt to get it right, whether it's now in the beginning implementation stages or making corrections down the road with the policy. And I really am grateful for Sheriff Baldwin's leadership, because this is a complicated implementation. And I've been a part of the conversation around body-worn cameras since it became a thing, quite frankly, and I was a legislator, and it is complex to the greatest extent. And our sheriff has been nothing but a willing partner to engage in this conversation and, more importantly, work to protect our law enforcement officers in an appropriate way and be transparent in the process. Then also, let me just take a minute to thank our Hamilton Township trustees, Todd Blackstone, Chris Hahn, and Gary Armstrong for being engaged with us in this process, being engaged with us today, and allowing us to host this conversation in this wonderful community. And we hope that this is one of many to come, not just on this issue, but more, where we're working together to ensure that our residents are protected and represented to the best of our extent. Let me also just finally say that on behalf of Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Crawley, Commissioner O'Grady is out today ill, and Commissioner Crawley is coming from another meeting with Mayor Ginther on another issue, and so she'll be here, so you just got me. But the good news is that it's National Kevin Day. I don't know if you know that, but it is National Kevin Day, so we're all in for a treat Any other Kevins in here? No? All right, Kevin, it's our day, man. So, go sit up front, man. No, I'm just kidding. So we got some work to do here today, but I'm so thrilled and excited the turnout. With that, I think, so Commissioner Crawley will join us at some point in the day. You see me move her. Don't tell her I'm trying to be president. It felt awkward to be over here and the sheriff to be over here, so I just moved it so she comes, I'll move it. So Commissioner, I spoke on behalf of all three of us. So with that, let me turn it over to my colleague, Sheriff Baldwin, or Dallas Baldwin.
Commissioner, thank you. Kevin Day?
I swear it's a holiday. I swear it is a national holiday.
I thought he said Heaven Day. I wasn't quite sure what he meant.
It's one and the same.
Okay, good. Well, good evening, and I'm Sheriff Baldwin, and thank you for coming to our third town hall meeting about body cameras. And I agree with everything the commissioner said. This is something that's very vital. Our deputies need it to show their activities and document. The community needs it to have faith and trust in the deputies in the process. They're also a very important tool that documents crime scenes, interviews, witnesses. It's just modern technology, and I wish we had them before. It's taken a while. I first got elected 2017. I took office, and one of my first conversations with the county administration was buying cameras. Very expensive. They weren't in the budget then. We waited a short time, and then here comes the pandemic. That year, we were told to cut budgets, so we couldn't put in for it then. However, following that, later that year, we felt it was so important that I sent outside of the budget a supplemental budget request that the commissioners should consider purchasing the cameras. And every commissioner agreed completely. From that point forward, we decided that Franklin County was going to be done a little different. We had a collaboration. We had the prosecutor's office, the data center, the county commissioners, administration. We kind of formed a team, and I took a step back and let the team move forward on deciding which cameras to purchase, the technology part of it, the policy. We came together. So it's been a very good process, but this began, like I said, the conversations began with me, county administration in 17, continued 18 and 19 with Commissioner O'Grady. It went to all the commissioners in 2020, and here we are today. I wish we had them a long time ago, but it just takes time, and we decided that we were going to do it right. We weren't just going to go out and buy cameras and stick them on somebody and then kind of worry about the policy and all that later. So it has taken time, but they're here. We're on the very verge of kicking them out, but it's been a really good process. And again, I want to thank the county commissioners, administration, prosecutor's office, and last but not least, the data center for their help and assistance. But again, I want to thank all of you for coming in tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go ahead and move to Chief Deputy Jim Gilbert to discuss and do a demonstration for us of the camera. Chief?
Go ahead, Robin. We're going to show the video first.
Okay, thank you. So first, we'll be showing a video.
Bureau. The V300 body camera will be clearly visible on the uniform of a deputy sheriff. Some of our deputies wear an outer carrier. You can clearly see the camera is still very visible. Upon interacting with a member of the public, the body-worn camera will be activated by the deputy. This is the view of the camera during an activation.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Anything I can help you with? Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Anything I can help you with? Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Anything I can help you with?
You'll know the camera's recording. There is a red light. In the event a deputy fails to activate the camera, there is a look-back feature with audio and video. Hopefully you found this information to be very helpful and useful. We are confident that the body-worn camera program will help show transparency for our office, as well as keep the deputies and our community members safe. Thank you.
Commissioners, guests, Sheriff, thank you for this opportunity to share some information with you. I'm Chief Gilbert over the Patrol Division at the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. The pilot program for in-the-field use of the cameras is slated to start as soon as we work out the technical infrastructure issues. The first set of deputies between all three shifts will be 30 deputies that will be utilizing the cameras for a short time period so that we can assess and work out the issues related to the bugs, so to speak. During the pilot program, all deputies assigned to patrol that are issued the cameras will then be reporting back what the issues were. We'll be assessing with the command staff then the technological issues, things of that nature. Once that's done, then we will roll out for the entire patrol division all cameras. So there's approximately 136 uniformed certified deputies that work within patrol. Every deputy in patrol will be issued a body-worn camera. Training will be conducted with those that are issued the camera. Each deputy, while in service, will have the camera on and ready to be activated on any call to service or contact they have with a member of the community. The cameras will then automatically upload through the cruiser to the cloud, and the footage will then be accessible for utilization by the administration within the sheriff's office for review, random review, uses of force, citizen complaints, anything that we need to look at related to policy and procedure issues, training issues, and complaints. So the cameras, and I just want to show visually here for those that are present, the cameras will be on the uniform, as you can see. Hopefully you can see that red light. It's on right now, and then 2 clicks immediately turns it off. And then the camera then, once I get back to the cruiser through the equipment that's been purchased, will automatically upload to the cloud. The deputy will actually have to do nothing other than just ending the shift, turning it off, and all of the uploads will automatically go through the equipment, through the cruiser, and or back at the substation directly to the cloud. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Before he goes down, let me take a second to recognize State Representative Rich Brown is here. He may have left. Oh, there, he's still here. Thanks for being here. The legislature has been very helpful in this process of providing us with pathways. So thank you, Representative Brown, to being here. Deputy Chief Gilbert, I want to thank you as well. I know you've been very much an intimate part of the conversation and the implementation, and so thank you for your work and your leadership. One question I wanted to throw out just for the public. We also have cruiser cameras too, and are they linked? So if the transition time from you pull up and you get out, does it switch over, or it just keeps recording simultaneously, or how does that work?
Upon activation of the
Chief, if you could go to the microphone, thank you.
Actually, that's a great question. So we've been utilizing in-car cameras for well over 14 years at the Sheriff's Office. So the body-worn camera, upon activation of either the lights in the cruiser, will activate the body-worn camera and the in-car camera. If I'm out of the car, as soon as I activate my body camera, the in-car camera will also activate. So they work in tandem. Think of it like your cell phone when you get towards your vehicle and it pairs with the vehicle you're driving. The body camera pairs with the cruiser that's assigned to the deputy for the day, and it works in tandem with the camera inside the car.
Excellent.
Yes.
And then, I'm sorry, one other question.
That's all right. It's Kevin Day. So.
It's Kevin Day, that's right. So I get all the questions I want. In terms of as you said, it's uploaded to the cloud automatically. And then once it's there, let's say the Hamilton Township law enforcement officers need access to the information. How do they go through a normal records request, or is that something, is a relationship in place where they can access it? Do they have the ability to just download and access it as well?
I think your question is related to an agency we work alongside that may want access.
Yes, yeah.
So if it's an agency we work alongside, they would make that request through their chain of command, our chain of command, just as if like they help supply us with video, we would supply video to them. Great, for anything they would need.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief Deputy. Thank you, Commissioner Boyce. Administrator Wilson is en route but has not arrived yet, and so in the meantime,
Why don't we have the sheriff go through the policy, and then by that time we could have Administrator Wilson go through our process.
I also recognize a couple of trustees from Franklin and Prairie Townships in the audience. Didn't want to skip over you guys. If you picked up a packet tonight, you'll have within that packet is a copy of the body-worn camera policy. And like I said, that policy was developed in collaboration with different offices, commissioners, prosecutor's office, sheriff's office, because we all wanted to have a really good policy, the best policy, wanted a collaboration, so all of us felt very comfortable that it was the best policy for the community. If you go through it, and I won't read every bit of it to you, it'll take too long, and it's a basic policy. Chief Gilbert said, for the most part, when there's citizen contact, the camera will be on. There's other times where the camera will be activated automatically when you're responding on a run, but anytime you're having that contact, unless it's an undercover operation or something like that, the camera's going to be on. There's a 5-minute look back period for each of the cameras, which means immediately following an incident, it's going to you can go back 5 minutes and see what occurred prior to that. That's a great value for even the deputies working out there and supervisors to be able to go back when something occurs and they can view it immediately and see what happened, what did they miss, something very vital. In addition to that, and forgive my terminology, I'll probably have it wrong, but the cameras also have about a 46 to 48 hour time frame where they're always recording, which means you don't really have to activate the camera. If something happened and it wasn't something the deputy thought that they really needed to activate it by pushing the button, it's still being recorded. If we find out later on that something did occur or there was an accident or something happened that we really needed to go back and view that, there's a 48-hour time you can still go back from that event and capture. So we have about a 2-day time frame to be able to do that. That's kind of becoming the industry standard, but very important to go back and capture information. The part of the policy that I think is really the important part, it goes with the use of the camera that as the cameras are recording, they're being uploaded into the cloud. They are not going into the hands of sheriff's office employees, which means for the protection of whatever's being recorded, it cannot be changed. That information on there is in proper form. It goes to the cloud. Now, it can be accessed for a variety of reasons by us and by others, but it can't be changed. And we're the primary agency that would have access to it, then we grant others permission to go into it and view it. When you get a public records request that was just mentioned, we receive that request. It goes to our risk manager. And we'll get numerous. Most agencies that have cameras have a lot of just routine requests that come in. We fill those. They're not a big deal. If something is a critical incident, newsworthy, something very important occurred, very dangerous, we'll fulfill that, but we'll also do that in consultation with the prosecutor's office to make sure that whatever goes out is legally proper. In addition to that, if an incident becomes made aware to the commissioners and they have a concern, they can contact me, contact the prosecutor, and we can designate other issues or other incidents as critical, which kicks in that higher review from the prosecutor's office and our office. So I thought that was important to show that the additional steps that we have taken to make this policy a policy to have a lot of confidence in from the community, that what's being recorded is not being altered, it is being maintained in a safe manner, and it's only being accessed properly, and the right information is being released when there is a public records request. There's a lot of times there's information that has to be redacted from any request. That's standard, and under state law there are a number of issues that have to be redacted. That falls to our responsibility to do that, but after the redaction, again, we speak with the prosecutor and make sure that that information was appropriately redacted. We're not here to hide anything. We feel that everything we do is public information. It's just we can't release all information all the time, but whatever is going out is appropriate and nothing's being held back. But that is really the policy. Like I said, feel free to read it. The unique thing on this policy is once a year it will be reviewed at a minimum by the prosecutor's office, by the county commissioners, and myself. And it's a standard review to make sure that it does not need to be updated or changed. Time limits change. Other things change in the industry, which means we may have to change the policy a little bit. Maybe not. But we'll automatically review the policy continuously, make sure that it's the best policy out there.
And I'll just say why I like that part is because technology is advancing, even as we implement this model, this technology becomes obsolete very quickly. And so we wanted to have a little bit of fluidness to be able to respond with the policy if it didn't accommodate some form of technology that might exist down the road. And so we know that'll happen at some point. And so we appreciate that the Sheriff's Office was willing to be engaged in an ongoing conversation to review the policy and adjust accordingly. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Sheriff. And next, I'd like to turn it over to the Prosecutor First Assistant and Chief Counsel for the Civil Division of the Prosecutor's Office, Janine Hummer.
I'm going to just segue into remarks that County Administrator Wilson has made before, and that's with regard to what I consider unprecedented collaboration that occurred in this policy. And through the leadership of the Sheriff's Division, and to open up his elected office to allow other elected offices to participate in the drafting of this policy was unprecedented, and we applaud you for that, because I believe the goal here was to look at the policy with different lenses of these separate independent elected office holders, one through a law enforcement lens, one through the policy lens of the Board of Commissioners, and one through the legal lens of the prosecutor's office. And I believe this policy that was put forth and the manner it was put forth guarantees the transparency that all these office holders wanted to have met. Finally, one of the very important parts of this policy is that it was connected to the purchase of the body cams, and that was passed by resolution, which means that it is an addendum to the actual, what we considered a legal binding resolution. So when changes are made to that, it has to go back through a process. And that was with the cooperation of the Sheriff's Office, who wanted that to be done in that manner. So it would be clear that this was a collaborative process. And again, we applaud you for that, Sheriff.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go ahead and move into the speaker slips and the question and answer portion of our conversation this evening. Just as a reminder that you will be limited to 3 minutes, and I will provide you with a 1-minute warning. So first, we have James J. If you could please come up to the microphone.
Madam Clerk, how many speaker slips do we have?
At this time, we have 2.
Okay, thank you.
James, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. My name's James Jewell. I am the Prairie Township Administrator. So first, I'd like to thank the Commissioners and the Sheriff for hosting this event. On behalf of the Prairie Township Board of Trustees, we are excited about this initiative. We have a great relationship with the Sheriff's Office and the deputies to protect our residents. We appreciate that our concerns were addressed before this started, and we feel that these cameras will help protect our deputies. So I'd like to just thank you again for this opportunity, and I'd really like to thank the deputies that protect our residents in Prairie Township. Thank you.
Thank you.
This sounds like a silly question, but so are we in Prairie Township or Hamilton Township?
We are in
Okay.
Hamilton
But you-
Township, Commissioner.
But Prairie is, I take it, just,
We contract.
okay, I got you. Okay, I was just trying to make got confused for a second. I was like, did I miss something? Do we move the meeting? Okay, all right.
Okay, next we have a John F.
Thank you, Commissioners, Sheriff, for having me here tonight. I wanted to speak. We have our own police department, and for the first time, I'm happy to say that we're out front of something that we've already went to body cameras in January and went through the policies and et cetera. And there's a good way to kind of put this. Every officer has a good set of handcuffs to restrain any threat. The same is true to restrain the threat of lies and nothing but the truth. The camera is there. It doesn't take a side. It's no different than the tools in the toolbox that every officer is using. That is a very essential tool. We work with the Sheriff's Department. We run back to back with them. And there was a case, probably in February, March, we had a person of need. He was waving a machete and no one could get close enough to him. I could not believe the video when I saw it and the restraint that our officers had not to use lethal force when they would have been justified. Having that, was able to go back and look and review what could we do different to apprehend this person. Tasers was not working at all. So out of this, we were able to come to the conclusion another tool in the toolbox that we need is a beanbag shotgun. This would allow us to, the assailant, to be able to capacitate him enough to take him in without any officers being injured in any way. There's times where the tasers don't have effect, they just rip them out. It was just on, it was like a training video, but it was real. And so it's great to hear that the sheriff is going to get these cameras. At least I hope that everyone would be on board with that, because more views and more eyes that you have on a scene can put the whole picture together. So as Franklin Township, I just wanted to come tonight and be able to tell you what it's meant for us in a small department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any comment or response?
I'd just like to kind of follow up and thank you for the comments, both of you. And cameras, you're right, technology kind of fills the gap. You know, every law enforcement agency currently is lacking in manpower. You know, we're all struggled to get fully staffed, and that won't change for a while. We try, but things are changing. What fills the void, and to help our deputies and officers actually do a better job, is technology. And cameras are a major part of it, whether it's a body camera, a cruiser camera, stationary cameras, whatever it is. They capture what happened for the most part. And that's what's vitally important for us to do our jobs appropriately. So again, I want to thank both of you for your support and comments.
Thank you, Sheriff. We do have some questions that were submitted electronically. And so the first question is, what is the process to request a release of a video? Who decides what can be redacted from a video?
Do you want to start?
Sheriff, if you'd like to start.
Sure. The process, you can simply email into our office requesting what you want. And the more specific, the easier it is for us. But it goes to our public relations risk manager. They will probably try and follow up if they can with a phone call if it's vague, and they'll try to figure out exactly what you're looking for, and they'll fill it. It does have to go through redaction. And again, within the state code, there are a number of issues that must be redacted from any public records request. But that's pretty much it, Janine.
Just to be clear, the body cams are a public record, so they are the people's records, so that's where we start. And what the sheriff indicated was a process to obtain that public record. You can send an email, that is correct, but there is no requirement in terms of the manner in which you seek a public record. You can call, you can write. I don't think we're taking notes on pigeons, but maybe. We would. And if we can figure out what your request is, you will receive a response that indicates that your record request has been received and that it's being prepared for release. The sheriff alluded to that there are certain redactions required. The state law, the legislature set forth what has to be redacted from body cam footage, where there's no choice. So that is the redactions that the sheriff is referring to, not a subjective redaction. So I want to make sure everyone understands that these aren't subjective redactions, but rather those that are required to be redacted by law. There are times where that turnaround is going to be very short, but there may be times where it's longer due to the length of the video or how many videos you are requesting. Finally, the sheriff's office does have a right, whether or not it's a critical incident or not, to request legal review of the footage because of what they perceive to be an issue on the footage that they want the lawyers in the prosecutor's office to review. We want to be clear that the prosecutor's office has both a civil division and a criminal division. It is the civil division, not the criminal division, that's prosecuting cases, that reviews the body cam footage for release in a public record.
I'd just add too that, when I was in the legislature, I worked on some of the redaction requirements, and while I believe that most of those elements are made to protect personal effects, personal information, and information, there are, this is a question now, are there evidentiary redaction elements too that can be redacted based on law, that might be evidence or some kind of material issue in a case? I know, minors and different things are obvious, but.
So in addition to what is required to be redacted under the body cam portion of the public records law, there are other exemptions in the public records law that allows you to redact information. One of those referred to as confidential investigatory law enforcement material, known as clears. And that's where the information contained is such that you have to redact because information is considered confidential under a law enforcement standards. When that is going to happen, that matter is usually referred to the prosecutor's office to independently review that and make a determination of whether or not that exception applies. One example of that would be, for instance, if there is an undercover officer on the body cam footage and you are attempting to protect the identity of an undercover officer from being exposed or opening up an unsafe situation. So that's an example of where clears could be affected.
I might add also that if an incident occurred today and tomorrow we receive public records request, it may be heavily redacted because of the ongoing investigation, witnesses and all that. Once that case is concluded, then more information becomes available. So what's redacted today may not be redacted further down the line.
Thank you. The next question.
And I want to take this minute to just recognize County Administrator Wilson, who joined us as well. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And we had Prosecutor Hummer cover some of the talking points that you normally do. So,
thank you, Commissioner Boyce.
And County Administrator Wilson, is there any remarks you would like to share before I move to the next question?
I'm sure Ms. Hummer adequately covered what I had to say regarding the process. So, no, I'm just here to take questions, and I appreciate everyone coming out. I've been a 30-some-odd year plus resident of Franklin County, and I saw parts of the county that were new to me, and I thought I was very well versed. So I apologize for my attendance, but I've been over the river and through the woods, and I didn't get any apple cider on my tour, so covered a lot of ground. But no, seriously, this is a very important topic for Franklin County. The Commissioner's Office, the Sheriff, the Prosecuting Attorney, the Data Center, purchasing. It was a group of all hands were on deck to go through a process that began back when we issued a request for information to seek out the best equipment that we could identify, because these cameras, when they are on our deputies, they are going to be able to record vital information, and it's going to improve law enforcement, and it's going to improve the quality of service that the residents of Franklin County receive. And this policy is designed so that everything will be done in a very transparent way, and it will be based and grounded in accountability. So it has been a process, and that is to not take it lightly. It's been a process since the commissioners appropriated over $2.5 million. But the process has taken time, trust me, for all of the right reasons, because it's critically important that when you implement a policy like this, that it is done right. So that has been what the focus has been for me as county administrator. And the charge that was given to me from the very beginning after the commissioners appropriated the funds to do this was, administrator, make sure we do this right. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator. The next question we have is, how exactly will the videos be uploaded? Does that happen right away, or could a deputy alter it before it gets saved?
I'll jump in, Chief, if you want to add, but they will be done through, for lack of a better term, a super router in the car. And when you get to certain points within the county, they'll be uploaded automatically from the car to the cloud. And no, they cannot be altered by a deputy. When I mentioned the 5-minute look back earlier, there's times where we can look at it from the sheriff's office to see what is on there, but no, it cannot be altered.
Adam, you want to maybe talk about the inability to alter?
So all video is done on the body-worn camera, stays in its raw form. It is uploaded to the cloud in an evidence locker. It stays in that raw form exactly the way it is until there is a need to utilize that footage for any reason. That footage is then used in another set of evidence locker perspective that allows us to then look at it, do the proper redactions, and release based on the law that we have in front of us. But there's always, the raw footage is always available, and then the footage that we use for any types of redaction or anything like that stays that way, and there's always the original. That original footage is uploaded directly from the camera, directly to a cloud storage perspective that only has very few people that have any access to that data whatsoever.
Maybe give your title.
Oh, I'm sorry. Adam Frumkin. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the Franklin County Data Center.
Thank you very much. The next question we have is, what is the policy or punishment if a deputy forgets to turn his or her camera on?
Anytime there's contact with the public, and a general rule is when the camera goes on. If something happens, and again back on that 5-minute, if there's an emergency and they have to jump out, take action, then activate the camera, you have that 5-minute look back. In addition to that, you have the 48-hour look back on top of that. But any contact with citizens or a high priority run, any run, they activate the camera automatically when they get out.
Thank you, Sheriff. We did receive another speaker slip, so I'll take a moment to have this person come up. It is from Richard Brown. And Mr. Brown, if you could just make sure you speak into the microphone, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Richard Brown. I am the state representative for the 20th district, which does include Hamilton Township. And I don't have Prairie Township yet. If I win my race after redistricting, this will be 5, and it will also include Prairie Township. So it's a huge swath of the county that hopefully I will be representing. I just wanted to say to the sheriff, thank you. Thank you for initiating this process. Thank you for realizing the importance of these body cams. And also to the Franklin County Commissioners, thank you for appropriating over $2.5 million for this, for these cameras and this camera system. It's needed. It's been needed for a long time. I've lived in Franklin County since 1978. It's been a long time I've been here, and this is something that has been needed for quite a while. Technology has now given us the opportunity to do this and to do it well. And I must say it's really for the benefit not just of the citizens, but also the police officers. It protects officers who may be falsely and wrongly accused of doing things they didn't do, and now there's going to be proof. And it will protect the citizens in the rare situations where something happens that maybe shouldn't have happened. So it's for everybody's benefit, and I think that's important for all of us to note. So that's it. I just want to say thank you. I'm very supportive of this, of the body cam initiative, and I think it's a good thing for all of us. So thank you all.
Excellent. Thanks for being here, State Rep.
Thank you very much. The next question that we had submitted online was, will the deputies in the jail wear body cameras? And if so, how often? And when are they, and how about when they're in plain clothes?
We have two classification of deputies within the jail. We have certified and non-certified, or Deputy 1, Deputy 2. Non-certified deputies stay in the jail their entire shift, and they will not have body cameras on. Part of that, and there's been a lot of publicity about the new jail opening later this year, that new jail has around 12 to 1,300 cameras, I believe, and it was built to ensure that there's hardly a spot within that facility that is not under the view of a camera somewhere. So that's why they won't. Now, there's a number of deputies that are assigned to the jail that are certified, which means they carry a weapon, full police power. When they leave the facility, they will have a camera. They go on numerous runs outside to take somebody to the hospital, take them down to court, back and forth. They will have cameras that have the same rules as anybody else when that camera gets activated, when it doesn't. Same uploading and all that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Prosecutor.
I just want to also add that this was an item that the Board of Commissioners talked about in the resolution process, and an item that they left open, that if there appears to be a need for cameras to be on those that are in the jail, that is something that they're committed to doing.
Thank you very much. And this might have been partially answered, but we do have another question about will deputies on special duty wear the cameras, and when are they supposed to be turned on?
They will. We have a lot of special deputies and deputies that work overtime, special duty shifts, and they will, same rules, they'll have a camera, and when they have contact with citizens based on their assignment, it'll be activated. And then the plan is to have those uploaded at the end of their special duty shift.
Thank you. And another question submitted was in regard to choosing the vendor watch guard and the costs that went in. If somebody could please speak to that.
Our purchasing director will handle that question.
Thank you,
Director
Administrator.
Megan
Director
Perry-Belvedere.
Director, when you're ready.
Thank you. I'll speak a little bit about the process, which Administrator Wilson touched on briefly. And so when we were actually ready to move to the procurement stage and do some research on the technology that was available, much like the work that went into the policy, when we got to procurement, it was a collaborative effort. So we did work with the Sheriff's Office, with the Prosecutor's Office, the Data Center, of course, and others. We developed an RFI, or a request for information, and it really was sort of a robust document that we put out to understand what that technology looked like from a implementation strategy perspective, from a hardware and a software, from a storage perspective. We wanted to make sure that that was advertised widely. We sent it, the RFI, to over 80 vendors, and we gave them a couple of weeks. We did get 9 proposals or responses that were submitted to us. When we looked through the responses, the full committee made a determination that Motorola WatchGuard had the product that really best fit the needs of the county. The RFI process in and of itself was not a method for us to actually do a competitive award. It was really for market research purposes. But one of the things that we did find through that process was that Motorola WatchGuard offered their products under a cooperative, a public purchasing cooperative called Sourcewell. And because of that, we did not need to go through the process that's laid out in the Ohio Revised Code that prescribes a competitive bid, but we could actually go through into a negotiation directly with that vendor. So those are the steps that we went through as a group and eventually came to the award with Motorola WatchGuard.
And the only thing I'll add is because systems work together in the field, we also looked at this and took advantage of the opportunity to upgrade our in-car camera systems as well. So we have the video in-car and we will have the video outside the car with the body-worn camera.
Correct.
And we'll have a seamless process there with Motorola WatchGuard providing both sets of technology.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Sure.
Next question, or questions are, what happens if the deputy does not activate their camera, which we might have briefly covered, but then the second part is, what happens if a deputy does not activate their camera? You ready?
Basically discipline. Each deputy will be trained in the policy, and if they are failing to activate the camera when they should, they'll be subject to the disciplinary process, which can escalate, depends on how many offenses. And it could depend on the incident, how serious that incident was where the camera was not activated, and for what reason. So there will be a chain of command investigation to determine why and proper action. Sometimes cameras don't get activated for malfunction, for the emergency situation that occurs right then. But again, you can go back on those cameras and you can record up to 48 hours prior to that event within 2 days. And then, so there's a safeguard built in. But the short answer is anybody who just blatantly will not activate it will be disciplined.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. And another question that came in is, will the sheriff himself wear a camera?
That depends on what the situation I'm going into. Obviously, most of my day is taken up within the office and administrative duties, and during those times, no, I won't have a camera on. It would not be appropriate during that time. If I'm out on an operation, I'm going out with my chief, and I'm going out with deputies, actually to where I would have citizen contact and be involved in enforcement activities, yes.
Thank you, Sheriff. I do not have any further questions that were submitted at this time or speaker slips in front of me. Commissioner or Sheriff, if you have any further comments, or Administrator Wilson that you would like to share?
I guess I'll just close out with, once again, thanking everyone for coming out. Again, I want to thank the sheriff and the prosecutor and the administration for their very hard work, and as well as the auditor's office and data center, purchasing, and all of the folks who make up the Franklin County family. I really believe that public policy is rooted in trial and error. Sometimes we get it exactly right, and sometimes we don't get it quite right. But at the end of the day, we're working to get it right. And so that's what being a member of the Franklin County family is all about. And so we're very hopeful that these cameras make it safer for our deputies and make it transparent for our public. And we feel excited that we're able to set some new precedent in working together as elected officials to do what's in the best interest of the masses, and that's Franklin County. And so with that, we're so grateful to have your company this evening, and look forward to a continued and ongoing conversation around how we can make Franklin County and Central Ohio a great place to live, work, and raise a family. And then finally, let me just say to you, I know Commissioner Crawley was working really hard to get here. And so I know she wanted to be here, and Commissioner O'Grady is out sick, and so otherwise they would be up here too, because I know they're both very passionate about this conversation. So with that, thank you so much for coming out, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much. And Sheriff, any closing comments?
Just want to echo what Commissioner Boyce said. Thank you to everybody. And I have one question for our administrator. Is there a Ken Day?
He doesn't know. Did you know today was National Kevin Day? It's a real thing. It's a real thing, man.
There's not a Dallas Day either.
Yeah,
I checked.
Yeah. Hey, but there's no national holiday.
Thank
so,
you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And if there's no further business before the board, we are adjourned.